Ready?
Yep.
Okay, Brianna is going to be a very simple Hello Kitty for me today. And this is going to be another design that goes over the forehead. It's going to go down on the nose, and it's also going to have whiskers as well because Hello Kitty has whiskers. And she also has a bow. So Brianna's going to be really quiet and very still. I'm going to start off with another petal sponge, and I'm going to give it a little spray about 3 times. My sprayer isn't working as well as it should, so I sprayed it a few more times. Squeeze the sponge to get the water down into the sponge. Shouldn't be able to squeeze any water out of it. You don't want it to be that wet. Okay, so I'm going to use my white, and I'm just going to load my sponge up. I want to make sure that it's not too wet because I don't want it to be drippy. But this is my sponge covered in white. Okay, sweet girl, can you lean towards me just a little bit, just like that, and tip your head up and close your eyes really softly, just like you're sleeping. Okay, the sponge is going to lay right on your eye. And just like the other kitty, is going to angle up towards the corner of the forehead. Keep your eyes closed. And this can go on the other eye. Same thing, I'm going to lay it down and kind of bounce it a little bit to give it that opacity that I want. And then the same shape as the other kitty cat. Just turns over and lays down on the nose. So go back over it just to make sure it's good and dry. Nice, good coverage. And on the nose. Keep your eyes closed while that dries, Brianna. I'm going to go over it with a little bit of a dry sponge just to make sure it's really, really dry, okay? So keep your eyes closed for me. This is a trick if your paint lays down a little too wet and you know that if you paint over it, it's going to just smear everywhere. Take a dry sponge and just go over it and just lay it down on the paint and let it soak up whatever water is in that paint. Okay, it's still pretty wet. Keep your eyes closed, baby girl. It's still pretty wet, so it's okay to do some glitter. Is that all right, girlie?
Is it tickled?
It tickled, okay. Okay, Hello Kitty has a yellow nose, so I'm going to use yellow star blends on a lollipop sponge, and I'm just going to touch it and kind of just swipe it over the end of the nose. She also has a pink bow, so I'm going to use another sponge mop. This one, I'm going to just spray a couple times and work the water down into it.
Is that one?
Keep your eyes closed, baby. Okay, I'm going to use my Stargazer Lily, the
No
talking. The Stargazer Lily paint. I'm going to use both of the pink colors. This will give some depth to the bow, the color of the bow. I'm just going to run the sponge back and forth across it, and it's going to pick up both colors. Now, when I touch it to the forehead, I'll push it in and twist, and I'll give a series of 3 circles. I'll try to let the outside ones get a little bit bigger. That inside one is going to be the center of the bow, so we want that to be a little bit smaller. So now that we have laid down our base, we're going to outline with black. I have my round brush that I'm loading with black. You want your load to be pretty wet, but you also don't want it to run, so you have to be really careful that your consistency is kind of like an ink consistency, but not runny because you don't want it to run. Okay. I'm going to lay it on the cake of paint and pull and twist to make sure that it has a nice point. And I'm going to start right above the bow, and I'm going to tip the corner of this ear and then bring it down to the eye. Turn this way for me, Brianna. And I'm going to go over here to this side of the bow, kind of give it a little bit of forehead, take the top of that ear, and then bring this side down to the eye. I can give her some eyelashes while I'm beside her eye. And then I'm going to outline the bow. Always go the circle in the middle first, and then the circles at the outside. Now, Hello Kitty has a loop in the middle of each side of the bow. And then I'm going to outline the yellow nose. I don't want this to be too heavy, but I want it to be obvious. And Hello Kitty has 3 whiskers on either side. So I'm going to lay those down. Okay, sweet girl, do you want to see? What do you think? Isn't she cute? Okay, you're all done. Thank you.
I'm not gonna put on my glasses.
Oh, you don't want to put on your glasses yet?